This is Plant-Based Briefing. Can Alzheimer's disease be reversed with a plant-based diet? By Dr. Michael Greger at nutritionfacts.org. And I'm Marian Erickson. This is the Plant-Based Podcast where I curate and narrate, with permission, a variety of articles on plant-based and vegan topics in about 10 minutes or less every weekday. And today's article is from nutritionfacts.org. They're one of the go-to places for nutrition information. They summarize the latest in peer-reviewed nutrition and health research. So now let's get to today's Plant-Based Briefing. Can Alzheimer's disease be reversed with a plant-based diet? By Dr. Michael Greger at nutritionfacts.org. Dr. Dean Ornish publishes the first randomized controlled trial investigating whether a plant-based diet and lifestyle program may reverse the course of early-stage Alzheimer's disease. Dr. Dean Ornish was the first to show in a randomized controlled trial that a plant-based diet and lifestyle program could apparently reverse the progression of our number one killer, heart disease, opening up arteries without drugs and without surgery. Then he showed the same plant-based program could potentially reverse the course of early-stage prostate cancer and elongate our telomeres, suggesting an anti-aging effect as well. But when he told me he was going to try to reverse Alzheimer's disease, I was skeptical. Surely he was biting off a little more than he could chew. Dementia is the most feared condition of later life. There's a common misconception that we have no control over whether we develop dementia, but there is good news. Although Alzheimer's may be incurable, it is at least preventable. There's an emerging consensus that what's good for our hearts is also good for our heads, because clogging of the arteries inside the brain with atherosclerotic plaque is thought to play a role in the development of Alzheimer's dementia. Our cerebral arteries should be open, clean, and allow blood to flow throughout our brain. Atherosclerosis in our head means the arteries are clogged with cholesterol, closed off, and clamping down on blood flow. What kind of brain arteries do you want in your head? Too much cholesterol in our blood is unanimously recognized to be a risk factor for the development of Alzheimer's disease. Those with a total cholesterol of 225 or more may have nearly 25 times the odds of ending up with amyloid plaques in their brain 10 to 15 years later. After all, what is the Alzheimer's gene, ApoE? It codes for the major cholesterol carrier inside the brain. This may explain the so-called Nigerian paradox. They have among the highest rates of the Alzheimer's gene, but some of the lowest rates of Alzheimer's disease. How is that possible? Genes load the gun, but lifestyle pulls the trigger. The paradox may be explained by their low cholesterol levels, probably due to their diets low in animal fat. So in terms of dietary guidelines for the prevention of Alzheimer's, we should center our diets around vegetables, legumes, fruits, and whole grains. In other words, the dietary pillar of lifestyle medicine, whole food plant-based nutrition. Or if that's too complicated, plants, and more plants. They may help explain why vegetarians may be up to 3 times less likely to become demented later in life. But it's not all or nothing. Even just substituting 5% of animal protein with plant protein appears to significantly reduce the risk of dying from dementia. But prevention isn't sexy. When prevention works, nothing happens. But the same diet and lifestyle that help prevent heart disease were proven to help reverse it. Until then, it was believed that heart disease progression could only be slowed, not stopped or reversed, which is similar to how Alzheimer's disease is viewed today. So what if you put people with Alzheimer's on the same plant-based program? You don't know until you put it to the test. Dr. Ornish and his team conducted a randomized controlled Phase 2 clinical trial to see if the progression of Alzheimer's disease may be slowed, stopped, or perhaps even reversed. They randomized about 50 men and women diagnosed with early-stage Alzheimer's to either make no lifestyle changes for 20 weeks or eat a whole food plant-based diet with supplements like vitamin B12, exercise moderately, like walking half an hour a day, practicing stress management, like relaxing with breathing exercises, and getting group support over Zoom. The researchers measured standard tests of cognition and function before and after in each group, as well as objective experimental biomarkers of disease progression. On the Clinical Dementia Rating Global Scale, which is used to stage the severity of dementia, the control group continued to get worse, but the diet and lifestyle group started to get better. People diagnosed with Alzheimer's getting better? The same seemed to happen when measured with the Alzheimer's Disease Assessment Scale, though that did not reach statistical significance. Using what's called the Clinical Dementia Rating Sum of Boxes scoring, both groups continued to decline, but the decline was significantly less in the healthy living group. Overall, using what's called the Clinical Global Impression of Change scoring, most of the people in the control group kept getting worse and none showed any improvement, whereas about 40% of those in the diet and lifestyle group appeared to be getting better within 5 months of eating and living more healthfully. Why did some get better and others not? Well, the more the study participants complied with the recommendations, the greater the beneficial impact on their cognition and function. This helps to explain why studies of less intensive lifestyle interventions were not sufficient to stop disease progression, let alone actually improve cognition and function. The biggest limitation of the study is that, unlike drug trials where you can give people a disguised placebo sugar pill, when a study involves major diet and lifestyle changes, you can't rule out the placebo effect, especially for self-reported, subjective questions like, "How's your memory been?" But the researchers also measured objective investigational biomarkers of disease progression and saw the same kind of trajectory, improvements in the interventional group and worsening in the control group, with the same apparent dose-response effect, meaning the more they improved their diet and lifestyle, the more dramatic the effect. Compare that to the latest Alzheimer's drugs, which may not even work at all. All you may get for your $56,000 is a 1 in 3 chance of swelling or bleeding in your brain. When the U.S. Food and Drug Administration approved the drug anyway, the head of the American Geriatric Society replied, quote, "My head just exploded," unquote. The bottom line is there's only one diet that has been shown to help reverse our leading cause of death, heart disease, in the majority of patients, a plant-based diet. If that's all a plant-based diet could do, reverse the #1 killer of men and women, then shouldn't that be the default diet until proven otherwise? And the fact that it can also be effective in preventing, arresting, and reversing the progression of other leading killers like high blood pressure, type 2 diabetes, and now maybe even early-stage Alzheimer's disease would seem to make the case for plant-based eating simply overwhelming. You just listened to Can Alzheimer's Disease Be Reversed with a Plant-Based Diet? By Dr. Michael Greger at nutritionfacts.org. And I'm your host, Marian Erickson. Wow. This is a brand new study. Dr. Greger sent an email out Friday morning, June 7th, with the subject Breaking News, Study on Reversing Alzheimer's with Plant-Based Nutrition. And the study conclusion reads, comprehensive lifestyle changes may significantly improve cognition and function after 20 weeks in many patients with MCI or early dementia due to Alzheimer's disease. This is amazing. It does just make the case for a plant-based lifestyle a no-brainer, especially compared to the expensive drugs that don't work and do damage. If you do want to listen to some other episodes about Alzheimer's, I'll link these in the show notes, but check out 116, Diet and Alzheimer's Disease by the Physicians Committee for Responsible Medicine, 277, Preventing Alzheimer's Disease with Diet by Dr. Michael Greger at Nutrition Facts, 366, 7 and 8, it's a 3-parter from Food Revolution, The Blue Zones, Longevity Secrets from Centenarians, 430, Processed Meats Linked to Cancer, Heart Disease, Diabetes, Now Dementia is on the list, 448, Advanced Glycation End Products and Cognitive Decline, and 449, The Best Diet for Healthy Aging. So please share this episode with anyone who might benefit, and thanks for listening.